All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Monday. Welcome to America Talks Live. I'm Steve Malzberg from our New York City studios. We are live. The Thanksgiving holiday is over. Hope you had a great one. Before we get to Roger Stone and much, much more, let's give it over to Bill Tucker, who has the latest news and some very troubling news from a major university.
Indeed. Thanks, Steve. We begin today with some sobering news. At least 7 people have been sent to the hospital after an active shooter incident at the Ohio State University campus. Here's a live look at what's going on at the school now. The situation at the school is that it is on lockdown as local police try to resolve the situation. Local media reports are saying that one suspect has been killed. MSNBC reports President-elect Donald Trump is furious with senior advisor Kellyanne Conway over her comments about Mitt Romney being considered for Secretary of State. Here's what Conway said.
People feel betrayed to think that Governor Romney, who went out of his way to question the character and the intellect and the integrity of Donald Trump, now our president-elect, would be given the most significant cabinet post of all, Secretary of State.
New York Times reports that top Trump aides are baffled by Conway's comments. Meanwhile, the New York Post reports Trump approached Washington Times columnist Monica Crowley for a spot in his cabinet on the communications team, but not necessarily as White House press secretary. Kellyanne Conway and conservative radio host Laura Ingraham are considered the favorites for that job. Hillary Clinton's former campaign chairman, John Podesta, may have violated foreign lobbying laws while serving under President Obama. The Washington Free Beacon reports that Podesta's lobbying firm adjusted 2 State Department forms that show that he met with the Indian Prime Minister in 2014 before he left the White House in 2015. For more on these stories, visit Newsmax.com. I'm Bill Tucker. Steve, with that, I give it back to you.
All right, thank you, Bill. All right, ladies and gentlemen, of course, over the weekend, as you know, Fidel Castro died, and there were celebrations, rightfully so, in many areas, especially in Little Havana in Miami. Donald Trump took to Twitter immediately and said this on Twitter: Fidel Castro is dead, with an exclamation point, meaning that it was, in his opinion, a good thing, as I believe it was in the minds of any democratic, democracy-loving person. Then we have Donald Trump today talking about the policy towards Cuba. If Cuba is unwilling to make a better deal for the Cuban people, the Cuban-American people, and the U.S. as a whole, I will terminate the deal. Good. He should. Obama circumvented Congress and has given Cuba a one-way ticket to keep repressing their people while benefiting economically for the ruling class. Now, Barack Obama had his own statement that he put out. Let's put this one up. And at this time, Fidel Castro's passing, we extend a hand of friendship to the Cuban people. We know that this moment fills Cubans in Cuba and in the United States with powerful emotions, recalling the countless ways which Fidel Castro altered the course of individual lives, families, and of the Cuban nation. History will record and judge the enormous impact of this singular figure on the people and the world around him. Really? History? History has spoken, my friend. Current has spoken too, Mr. President. This man was a dictatorial thug, a murderer. He's responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. He still has people in prisons and gulags and dungeons. How dare you treat him as some kind of, we'll see how history weighs in on him. Disgraceful. And then there's the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. While a controversial figure, both Mr. Castro's supporters and detractors recognize his tremendous dedication and love for the Cuban people, who had a deep and lasting affection for El Comandante. I know my father was very proud to call him a friend, and I had the opportunity to meet Fidel when my father passed away. Really? Well, a certain Cuban American named Marco Rubio had this to say about that statement. Is this a real statement or a parody? Because if this is a real statement from the Prime Minister of Canada, it is shameful and embarrassing. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we have Jill Stein, who officially filed for a recount in Wisconsin. The Hillary team is on board with this recount. And here's the Trump tweet in response to that. Let's put it up. Hillary Clinton conceded the election when she called me just prior to the victory speech and after the results were in. Nothing will change. And remember back to that third debate? Watch.
Are you saying you're not prepared now to
What
commit
I'm
to that
saying
principle.
is that I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
Well,
okay?
Chris, let me respond to that because that's horrifying.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. And then we have Reince Priebus, who's going to be the chief of staff to Donald Trump.
On election night, Hillary Clinton was the one to say it's time to accept the results of the election and look to the future. And it was their team that cut a deal with our team that said when the AP called the race, they would call within 15 minutes and concede, which they did. It is a total and complete hypocritical joke that the group of people that thought that they were nervous about President-elect Trump not conceding are the people that are conducting recounts in states where we've won by over 68,000.